This video is not for persons under the age of 13. By watching this video, you are declaring that you are above 13 years of age. Hello and welcome to today's video. This is going to be looking at painting this tiger. What I want to try and achieve with that is an economy of brush strokes, i.e. not overdoing it with all the brush, keeping it very simple and not doing too many brush strokes. How can I do that? Well, I'm keeping the painting fairly small. It's not a very big one, this one. And I'm going to use a fairly large brush to do fairly sweeping brush strokes. It's better to do one decent brush stroke than half a dozen really poor ones. So that's basically what I really want to do. And then once we've got those fairly loose bits of brush stroke in, we can then finish off with the detail, and that being a tiger is the already mapped out stripes that a tiger has. So that's what I'm planning on doing. This will be one of the brushes I'll be using, and I'm more than sure that I'll probably use this this Japanese brush here for Sumiyi painting, calligraphy pointed brush. Let's just have a look at the point on it. It has a very nice point, that. You can do all sorts of things like that. But anyway, we'll crack on with that. I'll get me watercolours set up and we'll make a start. So just to start with, I've got my Jackson's Art watercolour paints, and the paper I'm going to be using today is Clara Fontaine Fablio, is it? 350 grams, 145 pound extra rough paper. That's cold press, so you might get some nice ripple effects in the paper, which will add to this, because the key to it today is very, very light washes. I'm not going to be putting strong applications on it. So let's make a start. Now, the tiger generally have a very light orange yellow colour to them, so what I want really is something that's going to counter that, maybe a greeny blue colour for the background. So that's what we're going to do first. So I'll get a blue there, start prepping that. Get some and make sure that I put a little bit of yellow in that to make it a right. And this background, literally I'm not going to be messing about too much with it, trying to avoid painting the area of the tiger as much as I possibly can. Bring that round there, bring that up. Let's see if I can slightly alter the colour in a bit. Bring that like that. and bring that again back round to a slightly greenier blue, back round there, and blend that in. And that's really all I want to do with this bit. The background, as far as I'm concerned now, is done. So now the background's reasonably dry, we'll move on to getting a base colour for the tiger, and that's like a very mild orangey yellow. So, and I want this to be quite translucent. So I've mixed up it's almost like a gold ochre by using a bit of orange, a teeny bit of burnt umber, and some yellow ochre. So we've got like a slightly glowing yellowy colour, which is what we want really. So we're going to start applying that in correct places. As far as I can see, the light is coming from here, so I want the darkest areas to be round here, and literally that's all I'm going to do. I've got to be careful round about the eye area, because they do have white patches round there, but there's an area there that's quite that goldy colour. We'll call it goldy colour because it is a goldy kind of, and then it comes down here, and all of that area there is a very light application of the same stuff, and the odd little bit of like that. None of that there, as apart from round near the eye, it goes like that, and then it connects up, and then you get that white patch there. So we'll let that dry, although what I'd like to do before we do that is, because we're doing things as quickly and easily as we possibly can, I'm going to deepen this area while it's still wet, and that will give us that sense of dimension there. That bit there, there's a little bit there. And there's probably a little bit there, but as far as I'm concerned, that's it for the time being. We'll let that dry, and we'll get back to it once it's dry. So that's had a bit of time to dry, but before we move on, and I'm going to start using my more detailed brush now, we're going to have a look at the eye. And the eye in the reference image is a very interesting eye. It's got several colours in it. I will simplify that, but we still need to get some detail in it, because the picture itself is not highly detailed. We need some thing that we can focus in on, and that's going to be the eye. So the first thing I want to do, strangely enough, is get a little bit of that light orange colour and blend that in with a very creamy yellow, like a Naples yellow, and we're going to make that as watery as we can to give it that you know, that glazed kind of feeling, and that's your first undercoat. You may not actually see that, but let me just see if I can, like that. And we're going to leave that now and let that dry for a while. What I would like to do is some of these edges that I've done here, when I use the big brush, I want to feather them out a bit and soften them up. So using a completely clean brush, I'm just going to hack away at them and soften out some of these edges. Which, as always, I'm not going to do it to absolutely every edge, but it does help this. And there you go, especially that there. I'm definitely going to take an edge out there. Sometimes you can actually get brushes that specifically scrub out for you for doing this kind of thing, but if you've got a robust brush, it doesn't matter, and you can use that. And be a bit more brushy as you feel the need. And it just kind of softens that area up a bit, takes that edge away from the strong edge that it did have. Because obviously, as a cat, it's going to be slightly furry. And put a little bit more texture in there. Maybe get a little bit of that in. See if we can little bits of things here and there. It all helps contribute to final effect. There we go. Right, we may be ready to do a little bit more on that eye. Now, what I can see in the eye is a little bit of blue. So let's get it's only a very light blue, but nevertheless, it's something worth adding. So, and it's like an icy blue there. Don't know if you can see that in the actual picture, but it does add a very interesting extra dimension to the eye. But again, it's a matter of waiting now and letting that dry, and then we'll move on again to the next section. Something that we need to pay attention to now is its nose, and they do have very pink noses. So I'm gonna put that area in there. I may have covered over that actually. I didn't mean to, but unfortunately it looks as though I have done. So I'm gonna get a little bit of that goldy colour that we did earlier and put it with some more pink, and then add that there. That then means that we can put a slightly darker area in there. And then there's a little bit that goes like that, and then the rest is all dark. So I could literally go like that. But before it all starts running into one another, that's when you have to stop and go, you know, don't do any more for the time being. So I'll stop it at this point and we'll come back to it once it's all dry. So no tiger would be complete without its stripes. What I'm going to do is use Payne's Grey, which is a very deep dark blue, with some burnt umber, which is a brown that leans towards red, to create a black that will do the job for us. So, and I'm also going to be doing this fairly dry brush. What do I mean by dry brush? So I've already applied some paint to it, and hopefully that will be enough for me to go like that. And it becomes a little bit hit and miss, which is nice because that's what I want really. And we can also do a little bit of detailing as well. So I'm just concentrating here. While round the mouth of a tiger you get this very dark area. I'm going to bring that out a bit more and make it a little bit more furry. And that goes right up there, and it actually then connects to your nose there, which has its dark area like that. Can't see the other side really, but that does go like that. And then there's a bit like that. That's how that works. Now let me bring that round like that. That's it. That's most of the mouth done. There's bits of dark area there. Let's now come to the eye. We have to be careful with this because I'm going to do this in two separate sections. There's that bit of the eye, and then there's that bit there, and around it a tiger has an area of really dark like that, that kind of goes like that, and then another part of the eye that comes around like that. And then there's a big area here. I'm going to do a bit dry brush like that. straighten that up a bit. And that is most of your eye done. I'll just do some details in the area around it, so I don't forget to do it, because they can be quite complicated, all these little bits of things like this. And we're going to work round this area for a bit. Now it's got like little, it's light here, but it does have little spots that come to that point there, and I'm not going to be like painting every individual thing in. It's going to be like that, and what I see at any one time, and don't be too precious about getting every detail in. I want to make some slight adjustments here as well, and we're going to bring that out a bit. And then bring it to there. Let that come down a bit. Makes it a little bit bigger. And you can make adjustments as you go along. Don't worry about it. There is a plan, but you don't have to absolutely stick to it. So one thing I can see that's important is that it's a special line that they all seem to have a line. And I can see lots of things like that round near the eye. Again, it's one of them cases where you just try and do bits that contribute, but don't be overly fussy about it. It's like that. That area was quite complicated in the original image, but by using limited amounts of brush strokes, you can get what you need from it. And we'll keep continuing on like that. Now that's dry, also what I want to do is give that another coat there, and that another coat, and add some more detailing in there. Like drag that across right to this is a special area because this is where the ear is going. Now I'm going to slightly silhouette that area, so that gives you the bottom half of your ear. And what you can do with the other half is go, and you should now have the semblance of an ear. From that onwards, then you can bring several quite large lines down. There is one here that's really important. We'll pick up some more paint. You can go over things. I mean, watercolour unfortunately dries in a way that you don't necessarily think it's gonna do. It dries a lot lighter, so you have to think about these things. And we'll keep adding all these features, but I'm going to speed up a bit, and literally it's a very calligraphic thing, this. You just literally just don't overdo the I must get this exactly right thing, because you'll end up spoiling your painting. I'll re-emphasise that line. And now really what it's all about is looking for that key feature. I'm going to be very strokey now. And I want to emphasise that bit there, and that. Using very dry brush, we're like being quite flicky now, and that will help with the idea of it being fur. So it's all about the dry brush here, and try and do it in a direction where it ought to go. The fur will go in various different directions, so one or two other bits that I've not quite done. One there, just make that a bit darker. Put a bit more emphasis on that, so that you know that it's an ear. Few bits of stray tones there. Should I, shouldn't I? Yeah, that's okay. Might see the odd. I'm going to use gouache to do its whiskers. One or two more things. It kind of, when it's snarling, its nose kind of crinkles up. So I'm just gonna bit like that. Bit of dark tone in there. Some dark there. Bit of there. And we're not far off. This being mostly complete. Now one thing I need to do is colour these teeth in. And they tend, strangely, they're like a yellow ochre colour, strangely. I'm not going to be doing too much faffing. See if I can get a few bits of dark tonal in it. Tone that out a bit. One or two bits in here, just to make sure that we're and possibly what I need to do with this, I'm looking at that there, and it's okay, but it maybe needs to go like that. You might think, oh, what are you going to do with that? Don't worry, I'm just going to make that a lot more. It's a robust animal, it needs to be a bit thicker. I probably drew that not quite right, so I'm gonna there we go. And that's like a burst of colour. So as a quick piece of work, although because I've actually gone over these areas, I want to make that dark again. Saying that, when you get to those edges there, it's probably going to fuzz out of it anyway. There you go. Just be careful not to overdo it with detail, and you should be okay. So that's like my take on how to do a very quick tiger with an economy of brush strokes. Very simple, a wash with right colour and tones, and then get your tigers, stripes, details in, and you're done. And here is the finished painting as a photograph. I've added off camera a few little bits of extra detail using gouache and various other little bits of adjustments, but that's the painting done. Thanks for watching this, and we'll see you on another video next time round. Bye.